time of the demise of Rabbi Akiva's Talmidim, 24,000 Talmidim, and as hard as it is for us to understand it, Hashem said, the Gemara says that they died because they were not knowing covered zelazah. Now, whatever that means, first of all, they were exceedingly great people. That was the total landscape of that time. To say they weren't knowing covered zelazah, they weren't knowing covered one to the other, it's very difficult for us to understand what that means. But whatever it means, the Ribono Shel Olam, in his Chachma, determined that they were not to be the Mesorah. The Mesorah of the Torah could not go through them. Whatever failing there was, it was enough and it was sufficient enough, and it had to do with kavod. It had to do with kavod. It didn't have to do with scholarship. It didn't have to do with Yirah Shamayim. It had to do with kavod. And since there was some kind of lacking there, so Hashem determined that the Mesorah could not go through them. Could not go through them, and therefore Rabbi Akiva, in what would seem to be a supernatural, superhuman effort, after losing 24,000 Talmidim, the Gemara says he went to the Dorom, he went to the south, and raised up 5 more Talmidim. And through those 5 Talmidim, we have the entire Torah, come out the entire Torah Shebal Peh, through those 5 Talmidim. One of which was Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Let's focus, therefore, today on kavod. I would like to discuss various areas of kavod, pertaining specifically to kavod towards those whom we perceive to be on a lower level than we are. Life presents situations in which we find ourselves above others. What do I mean above? I don't mean intrinsically above others, but I mean in terms of the stature of life, normally speaking. For example, you have parents to children. You have employers to employees. You have lenders to borrowers. You have hosts to guests. So there's the Torah requirements for the one who perceives himself to have the upper hand, so to speak, are very, very clear. And we must take them very, very much to heart, so that we do not find ourselves failing in this absolutely critical aspect of showing kavod. Showing kavod to equal. Self-respect and self-dignity is something which is absolutely essential for a feeling of emotional well-being. A person has to feel dignity, he has to feel self-esteem. It's absolutely essential. And the role that we can play in fostering somebody's self-esteem is very, very important. And we have to realize how important we are in the lives of other people. I would like to first, therefore, focus on the responsibility towards students, teachers to students, from which we can also learn the responsibility of parents to children. In Malachi, in Sefer Malachi, this is the last of the Nevi'im, Sefer Malachi, and the last pasuk in all of Tanakh. Torah tells us, referring to Eliyahu Hanavi, Hinei, 2 psukim before the end, Hinei Anochi Sholeach Lachem Es Eliyahu Hanavi. Famous pasuk. There's even a melody to this pasuk. I'm going to send you Eliyahu Hanavi Bifnei Bo Yom Hashem, before the day of Hashem, HaGodol HaNorah, the awesome day of the Ribono Shel Olam. And then here comes the final pasuk. V'heishiv leivavos al bonim. Hashem will return the heart of the fathers to the children, on the children. A little hard to understand. Rashi will explain. Leiv bonim al avosam, and the heart of the children on the fathers. And Yovo v'hikesi es haaretz cheren, lest I come and destroy the world. Okay, now, Heishiv leivavos al bonim. What does Rashi say? Rashi says HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to return the hearts of the fathers. Al bonim means al yedei bonim, by way of the children. The fathers are going to return by way of the children. The children are going to have an influence. The fathers are not doing too well. The father's not doing too well. But the child decided to go his own way. He didn't get it from the parents. The child didn't get it from the parents. For some reason, the child decided to go his own way. Went to Eshat Torah, become a ganz fine Talmud Chacham, this child. The child comes back, he's a responsible child. Mommy, Daddy, can't talk that way. The child at the Shabbos table. Mommy, Daddy. It's always, he says it in a nice way, endearing way, a covered way. Teaches his parents not to speak Lashon Hara. You have to do that. You have to do that. It helps. The parents see the child. He didn't look that happy before. All of a sudden, my son looks so much happier now than he ever was before. What's going on over here? Sometimes parents, they go to their children. The child became from, they married a from family. The parent goes to the children. The parents never saw somebody so happy as their son and their daughter and the children. It's a beautiful life they live. They hey, she live, almost on bonim. So the children are going to have an influence on the parents. We see this in our day. Now look at what Rashi says. And I'll ask you, I find something extremely curious in the words of Rashi. Maybe you'll pick up on it. What does Rashi say? Rashi says, Eli Hanavi is going to be instructing children, go bring your parents back. Bring them back. That's what it is. Heishiv levavos hakol hakodesh bo. Eli Hanavi is going to, the word veheshiv, the subject of the verb, the heishiv, he will return, is Eli Hanavi. Eli Hanavi is going to return the hearts of the fathers through the children to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Meaning Eli Hanavi is going to instruct the children, go get your parents, come on, bring your parents in. That's what Eliyahu is saying. Eliyahu is going to instruct the children, you have to have an influence on your parents. Now you learned at Eshat Torah, you learned ganz fine. You have responsibility of your parents now. He's going to inspire the children that they're going to go and they're going to speak to their parents respectfully, endearingly, lovingly, and have an immense influence on the parents. Okay, that's beautiful. He says, Al banim al yidei banim, yomar lebanim. He's going to say to the children, derech ahava v'ratzon, in a loving manner, in a manner to find favor. L'chu, go v'dibru el avoseim, go speak to your parents. Go speak to your parents, children. Lechoz b'darchei hamakom, to hold on to the path of Hashem. That's what he's going to say. Now, there's some extra words here. I mean, you caught them. There's some extra words here. Really not germane at all, I would say. If Rashi wants to explain what Eliyahu Hanavi is going to do, he should say, Yomar lebanim lechu v'dibru el avoseichem. He's going to say, Hashem is going to say to the children, go speak to your parents. Why does Rashi put in the words, derech ahava? He's going to speak lovingly to the children. He's going to speak in a favorable manner to the children. What does he say that for? I don't know, that seems to be completely not necessary here. Eliyahu Hanavi is Eliyahu Hanavi. I assume the children know it's Eliyahu Hanavi. I assume they know what's going on. If Eliyahu Hanavi would come to you and he would say to you, go talk to your parents, are you going to say no? Excuse me, Eliyahu, I have something else to do with today. I'll try to put it on my task list if I can get to it. Eliyahu Hanavi tells you to do something, you're not going to do it. And yet, Rashi says, Eliyahu Hanavi said to the children, when he was giving the children these instructions, he said, children, he said it in such a beautiful way, children. He said it in a way to show the children how much he loves them. Children, I love you so much, children. You're such beautiful children. He did it in a way with such a favor, finds favor in the eyes of the children. The children listen to Eliyahu Hanavi. And he was saying, children, come. It's like he's only embracing the children. We have a job here, we have a job. You know what our job is, children? What, Eliyahu? The job is to try to influence your parents. Whoa. Okay, we're going to go for it. Rashi says, Eliyahu Hanavi conveyed to the people, to the children he's speaking to, how much he loves them. Why? Because otherwise, I don't say they wouldn't listen, that's a little preposterous, but they wouldn't listen as much. Go, talk to your parents. Okay. It depends on how you say it. Depends on how you say it. If you're giving instructions, I include myself too, if we're giving instructions to the children, if we're giving instructions to the students, do this, okay. But if we can convey to them our affection for them, there's nothing that works like affection. There's nothing that works when the child knows how much you care for him. You know, I think there's a phrase, they say, a student doesn't care how much you know until he knows how much you care, something like that. He doesn't care how much you know until he knows how much you care, something like that. What do we see? We see an essential point. And that point is we must convey to what we want them to, if we want to have an influence on our children, we must convey to the children how much we love them. And we have to kiss them, and we have to tell them I love you, and we have to show them I love you, and we have to convey to the children, and convey to our students. I know a teacher, once the student said about that teacher, whenever any student in the class answers a question, gives the dumbest answer, that teacher always tries to make it like it's a real good answer. You know, just like to kind of garnish it a little bit, you know, so the child wouldn't be embarrassed. And the rest of the kids got the impression that teacher really cares about us. He doesn't want to embarrass anybody. So that's important. That's important for children to realize that the parent, the teacher, they care for them, they respect them. I know a case of a high school boy. He had a difficult high school experience. And you know what he said later on? He grew up Mamish Gedalya, but you know one thing he said, that the thing that kept him in line in his high school year, tumultuous high school years, the thing that kept him in line was the relationship that he had with his parents. He had a very good relationship with his parents. And that's what did it. Meaning to say, all of the winds that blow, that would take a child and throw a child off, and they're terrible winds today, the terrible winds today, that are clutching for the neshamas of our children, no question about it. In the throes of all of that, and even in a child, even in a student would have a predisposition to dabbling a little bit. But the influence of the relationship with his parents, he didn't want to disappoint his parents. That's what did it. He didn't want to disappoint his parents. So therefore, that kept him in line. It kept him in line, and then he got over the hump, so to speak. And he went on. A beautiful, beautiful life. Now, how does that happen? How do you have a relationship with a child like that? Do this, do that, do this. I don't think so. I think a relationship, if you have a child like that, to build such a relationship is conveying love to the child. I just love you. I love you unconditionally. And that's that. So at any rate, so now that's Yesod number one, ladies. Yesod number one is conveying love, so respect, dignity. All these cannot be compromised. Number two is a big question I have now. If this is the way that a Rebbe is supposed to speak to a Talmud, I'm going to quote for you now a Gemara that's going to put a monkey wrench in this whole concept. It's a Gemara in Yevamos. Omar le Rebbe le-Levi. Rebbe is Rabbeinu HaKadosh. The Rebbe that we're speaking about here is Rabbeinu HaKadosh, who is the author, of the Mishnah, not the author of the Mishnahs, but he put it all together, the Mishnahs that we have today, Rabbeinu HaKadosh, Rabbi Yehuda Nossi. He said to Levi, now Levi was one of his Talmidim, Kimeduma ani, seems to me, she'ein lo moach b'kodkono, I think he doesn't have a brain in his head. What do you say? How endearing is that? Oh, how loving. What is that? Well, can you explain that to me? Seems to me he doesn't have a brain in his head. Flies in the face of everything we're saying. And this is Rabbeinu HaKadosh in the Gemara saying to Levi. Now we would expect, you have to be learning, Eliyahu HaNavi is going to speak endearingly to his Talmidim, to the people. I don't know, it seems that something's amiss over here. There is actually in the Chafetz Chaim, in the Sefer Chafetz Chaim, all about Shmiras HaLashon, the whole shaila about You find in the Gemara instances where there are very sharp words that are said between one Amora and another Amora. These are tzaddikim of the Gemara. The tzaddikim of the Gemara. How could that be? How could that possibly be? There's a great Gedalya, the Chavas Yoir, and the Chafetz Chaim in his Sefer brings down the tshuva, where he says, I was asked to explain how come you find in the Gemara that there seems to be at odds with each other, and there's not nice words are being shared with each other. And one of the things he brings is this one. Well, how did Rebbe say that? How could he say that? So listen to what he says. Mutter, it's mutter l'rav, it's mutter to a Rav, a Rebbe, l'hochiach l'talmidav, to give rebuke to his talmidim, b'dvarim koshin, with harsh words. It's mutter. Kidei lezarzom, in order to motivate them, to energize them, sheya'ayanu, that they'll take greater care and have greater discernment in analyzing the Gemara, in analyzing their studies. V'yashkichu, and they'll be very careful. They'll look over their words and their thought processes. V'yishru min atos, and they will save them from mistakes. They'll save them from mistakes. Okay, so what do we see from here? We see from here that we didn't really complete the picture. When we said before, you have this being love to their children and everything, we didn't really complete the picture. There's got to be also a kind of movement where the student learns how to accept constructive criticism. No question about it that Levi could take it. No question he could take it. If Levi couldn't take it, Rebbe never would have said it. Levi was made out of very strong iron, Levi. The Rebbe was just polishing it, that's all. Rebbe is a better example. Levi was like a diamond. It was like a diamond in the rough. Rebbe was polishing the diamond. Polish the diamond, you have to scrub it. Scrub that diamond, brings out the shine. If it was a little piece of sandstone, Rebbe never would apply such a harsh polishing. But he knew a student could take it. It seems to me that there was also, I forgot where I saw it, there was a Talmud who said a question to his Rebbe, and it was such a bad question, the Rebbe didn't speak to him for 3 days. Been talking to him for 3 days. How'd you ask such a question like that? How'd you ask such a question? His Talmud was brilliant. So the Rebbe understood that the Talmud is, he's taking liberties with himself. He's kind of like off the cuff. He's not digging into deeply enough. The Rebbe would not. What?
Right?
What?
You're not allowed in the Torah.
What is it?
It's mutumat. If you heard your rabbi say something and you have a machloket with him, it says it's not acceptable in the Torah, correct?
To have a machlokas with your Rebbe?
Yes, or to correct him.
At all, yeah, you have to be extremely important. To say anything to one's Rebbe, one has to be frightened as he could be, and has to be very, that's not to say that a Rebbe is beyond correction.
It's like what happened with Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and one of the Talmidim that followed him. So the father was not he said, no, don't go with Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, because if you're going to say something against him or machloket with him, so he's going to judge you and you're going to die. So it's the same.
It's not pashut. One should think 1,000 times before he takes off against his Rebbe. He should think 1,000 times before he does that. You're right. The Rebbe has a responsibility to his Talmidim. As this Rebbe wouldn't talk to his Talmud for 3 days. The altar of Slobodka. My Rebbe's Rebbe. My Rebbe, Rabbi Leibowitz, his Rebbe was his father, Rabbi David Leibowitz. And Rabbi David Leibowitz's Rebbe was the Alter Slobodka. The Alter Slobodka would give Tochach. He would give Tochach. My Rebbe wouldn't. My Rebbe wouldn't give Tochach. You know why? We can't take it. My Rebbe would say, today we're like tissue paper. We're like tissue paper today. We can't take. I know a story. There's one of the members of the yeshiva, a senior member of the yeshiva community, who's a big tzaddik, one of the senior members of the yeshiva community. He went to the Rebbe, he went to the yeshiva years ago. He told me, I said, Rebbe, give me Musa. She said, no. Rebbe, I'm asking you, please give me Musa. Tell me, give me rebuke. Tell me. Rosh Yeshiva said, no, you can't take it. He was asking for it. Rosh Yeshiva said, no. You think you can take it, you can't take it. So what that does to us today, ladies, if Rosh Yeshiva said this with tissue paper, Rosh Yeshiva said that. That's going back already some years already. What are we today? What are we today? We have to be so careful with giving rebuke. And today it's ever more, not saying we can't be mad, we can't totally give up on our obligation to be madrich our children, but we have to find a way to do it with so much sugar coating, so much honey, so much, somewhere in there there's a kernel, there's of tochacha rebuke somewhere, but we have to be so careful. The children have to feel that there's so many deposits, there's like a bank account, what was his name, the 7 habits, Kofi, the 7 habits of successful marriages, successful raising children, something like that. You have to constantly deposit. If you make enough deposits, you can make a withdrawal. If you don't have any deposits, then how do you make a withdrawal? If you have $100 in the bank, you take a $90 withdrawal. That's a pretty big disaster. But if you got $50,000 and you take away a $50 withdrawal, so that's not so bad. If we're constantly aware of making deposits with our children, making deposits, catching them in the act of doing something right, building them up. If that's what we're looking for, then they'll be able to take much more easily the rebukes. This is a sefer, Effective Jewish Parenting. I am zochet to have this sefer from Reb Simcha Wasserman. Zechet Tzaddik V'Rocha. Reb Simcha Wasserman, I was zochet to have some sort of relationship with him many years ago. This is tough. Looks like tough Shem Mem Chesed. Looks like 48 or 40, 50, 60, 70, 31 years ago. So I visited him in Brooklyn, Erev Shavuos, I think it was. Erev Shavuos with my wife and the children that we had at that time. There, Erev Shavuos, he said, come with me. I want to take you to a bookstore. So my wife was left where he was staying in Brooklyn. He got into the car with me. I drove him to a bookstore in Brooklyn. He bought this book for me, Effective Jewish Parenting. It's by Miriam Levy. So he bought this book for me. He made an inscription in front. And this book is a treasure. He wanted me to have this book. I was a young father, and he wanted me to have this book. I think it's a tremendous book, and I want to read some yes of what he's saying. There's a chapter here called Discipline with Love. It goes like this: in educating the child, the sages advise, let the left hand push away while the right hand draws near. We may see the right hand as symbolizing the direct expression of love, affection, understanding. That's drawing the child near. It's affection. And the left is restriction, is discipline. Says Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch, we cannot succeed in our education with excessive strictness, which only incites to rebelliousness. Shimshon Raphael Hirsch said, excessive strictness incites to rebelliousness. That's right. And I include in that, by the way, pushing the child. We all want our children, let's say a child, he's not want to learn. What the other boys are going to after school programs. They have after Pirchei, where they have this Mishnayos program in the college. My child don't want to learn. He comes home from school, he wants to play ball. What about all the other boys they're going to the kollel? My child's not going to the kollel. Go to the kollel. I don't want to go to the kollel. Go to the kollel. Be like your friends. And he is daiti, that's the wrong tack to take. Let the child be. The child wants to come home. He has to enjoy learning. What are you going to do to him? You're going to force him to go to the kollel. He's going to be thinking about baseball while he's there in the kollel. He's not happy to be there. He's not happy to be there. You want to put your child in a situation where he's not happy to learn? And so learning will become a burden to him. I have a bad taste in his mouth. My father made me learn. Whoa. That's pretty surefire way to have him close the Gemara, not open it. Learning is hard, ladies. Learning is hard. And until you really get the hang of it, a lot of it is just, I know this is what I'm supposed to do. So the child goes to school, and many hours in school, he wants to come home, let him. If you don't want to learn, don't make him learn. Basically, the bottom line, which is daiti, in my opinion, is pushing is counterproductive. It's counterproductive. Let him be. Just let him be. Only by expressing our constant love for the child can we succeed in educating him. Shimshon Raphael Hirsch. Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch. Only by expressing our constant love for the child can we succeed in educating him. Constant. Because then why? Because he'll want what we want. If he loves us, and by the way, he will. She will. If we love them, they'll love us back. There's no question about it. Kamayim aponim laponim, like a face looks into a pool, that's the face looking back at you. If you smile into a mirror, the mirror's going to smile right back at you. If you smile at a person, the person's going to smile right back at you. They mirror the feelings. If you're rough with them, then they don't feel loved. They're not going to love you back. But if they feel you love them, that engenders love back. And then if they love you, they'll want to do what you consider important. Because they love you. They'll want to do what you consider important. It'll be important to them too. It's natural. That the Masorah is built on that. When imposing discipline, continues Mrs. Levy, we should do so in an obviously loving manner. When we're imposing discipline, how do you master that? When imposing discipline, it has to be in an obviously loving manner. Isn't that contradictory? If I'm disciplining you, how can I show you that I love you? Okay. My child, you speak, first of all, the way you speak to the child, when you're disciplining. I'm afraid I have to do this or this. There was one father who the child loved pickles. So the father made a penalty, the child did something wrong tonight. You have no pickles tonight. And the father himself didn't eat any pickles either. My child's not eating pickles, I'm not going to eat pickles. And the child said, oh, my father hates me, he loves me. It has to be, the discipline has to be in an obviously loving manner. This makes the child feel that we have his best interests in mind. Now listen to this line. Discipline which carries a message of love can never be interpreted as rejection. You hear that? Discipline which carries a message of love can never be interpreted as rejection. The child will not feel rejected. Why? Because my parent loves me. He's disciplining me. It must be because I need it. He's not rejecting me because he loves me. Is this what, ladies? Isn't this something? This is beautiful. This is beautiful. He said like this, timing. So as far as timing, with the exception of very young children, she says, it's often better not to admonish the child on the spot. In other words, it gets a little bit older, better not to admonish on the spot often, but rather to wait for an opportune moment. And they say by Rabbi Leopold that before reprimanding any of his children, he would always allow enough time to elapse so that he wasn't angry. You should not be angry. If you're angry, don't admonish the child if you're angry. It comes loud and clear across that you're angry and you're taking it out on me. He says, when admonishing a child, our goal is to influence him to regret his behavior. That's what our goal is. We want to influence him to regret his behavior and work to change it. This cannot be accomplished with angry rebukes. Anger should be reserved for the rare occasions when we have to forcefully impress a child with the gravity of his wrongdoing. And even then, we only act as if we're angry. We don't feel it inside. But if we're really angry, no, it comes across. Rabbi Wasserman said that. Parents have to make up their mind what they want. If they want to educate the child, don't get angry. If you get angry, nothing positive is going to come out of it. If you rebuke out of anger. So what do you do? If you're angry, so what do you do? So wait. Cool down. Cool down. Wait until the next day. When you're full control of your emotions. And then talk to the child. Now, positive expectations, the Shalah HaKadosh teaches us, if we tell someone, when rebuking him, that such conduct does not befit so intelligent and wise a person as he, he'll feel complimented and more receptive to correction. Oh, my tzaddikel, my tzaddikel. You know, this doesn't befit you. You're such a sensitive boy. You're so wonderful. You know, it doesn't fit with how wonderful you are. Oh, my father thinks I'm wonderful. And then he's open to it. Everybody, it's all the same. If you come with a thunderbolt, you come like a thunderbolt on a person, automatically tenses up. Automatically withdraws, throws up a whole defense mechanism, and it's a wall. You're not going to get through. Just pounding, you're not going to get through. Well, the object is that he doesn't throw up that wall of self-defense. So that the words that you're saying can seep through into his neshama, the teaching. That's what we're trying to do. So it's love. It's discipline with love. Consider the following rebuke. When I called you before, you ignored me and continued playing. Is that right? What are you supposed to do when I call you? That doesn't sound too good. That doesn't sound too good. But if you say, when I called you before, you ignored me and continued playing. Is that right? What are you supposed to do when I call you? It changes the whole thing. What are you supposed to do? I'm supposed to listen to you, mommy. And then I'd kiss on your head. You're right. Oh, what a decibel volumes has a lot to do with it. One more thing I have over here. One mother tells the effect on her child when she changed to a quiet manner of admonishing. Quote, my two boys had a fight. Ellie, 7.5, had torn a picture which his younger brother of 5 brought home. Normally, I would have scolded him in a loud voice. Ellie, you shouldn't have done that. It wasn't very nice. How would you like it if someone did that to you? You can imagine that taking place. His reaction would then have been defensive, like we said before. Something like, he started it, and so on, ending up in a very unpleasant argument. This time, I waited until evening. I called Ellie in and told him quietly, I want to speak to him. I had him sit down next to me, and taking hold of his hand, I told him in a serious but quiet voice, Ellie, what you did this afternoon wasn't so nice. It wasn't right. You shouldn't have done it. And at that point, he burst into tears. I was so surprised. With a few quiet words, I got through him so easily. Anyway, we're supposed to show rebuke. Yeah, we can't abdicate our obligation to rear our children. We can't abdicate that obligation. But we have to be aware of the circumstances and what they're up against and the frailty, and realize that self-dignity is like a gentle little bird. It's like we're holding a gentle bird in our hand, a fragile little bird. Fragile little bird. I'll tell you an incident with me and my father. Allah Hashem. I was in high school. I failed the test. I still remember, it was chemistry. I just didn't get the hang of chemistry. I didn't get that. I couldn't get that. So I came home. I didn't fail. I wasn't used to failing tests. I probably one test I ever failed in high school. I wasn't used to failing a test. I got an F on the test. Oh. So I came home. What am I going to tell my father? He said, Daddy, I failed the test. What am I going to tell him? I still remember. I walked into the house. My father is there. I said, Dad, I failed the test. So he said to me, just do as well as you can. I remember to this day, just do as well as you can. That was very encouraging. It wasn't a put down at all. Just do as well as you can. That's all. What expect you to do as well as you can. And a children's self-esteem is like a fragile bird in our hands. And if we care for it, it's exceedingly important. So, I want to go now to a second. I started the afternoon with by saying I'd like to talk about different kinds of relationships. So this is one relationship, parents and children. I'd like to change the situation now to the obligation of a host to his guest. Now, the host, we would imagine, is in a superior position than the guest. We should realize that a guest always feels somewhat uncomfortable going to somebody else's house. You're sitting at somebody else's table. If you're the hostess, so then we try to do everything we can to make the guest feel comfortable, because the guest really doesn't feel so comfortable. If you're sitting at somebody else's house and you're eating somebody else's food, so it's always a little bit of a discomfort. I'm beholden to these people. Says the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, Lo yehe adam kapton b'sudaso. A person shouldn't get angry at his meal. I mean, besides, we should never get angry. But a person shouldn't get angry at his meal, ki ha'orchim, because his guests, ubnei abayis, and his children will be embarrassed to eat. Because they're going to think maybe he's angry because they're eating too much. Or he doesn't eat angry because they're eating. Person like he starts thinking about things. Why is he so angry, this guest, this host? Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. First obligation of a host to a guest is to make him feel at ease, to make him feel welcome, to smile. I still remember one of our children was born right before Pesach. And we were living in Kew Gardens Hills in those years. And across the street from us was Rabbi Avram Semmel, Shlit. Rabbi Semmel is the mashgiach of the Kollel of Chavetz Chaim. So he and his family invited us to come to the Seder, for one of the Sedorim. My wife had just given birth. So they invited us to come to the Seder. I still remember when I walked up to the door, to knock on the door opened, and Rabbi Semmel walked toward me and dressed in his kittel, and his face was beaming. His face was radiant. I still remember. It's such an impression on me. I could have been the biggest personality in the world. He was so happy to see me. What a host is supposed to do to make the guest feel wanted, to feel that he's happy to see him. And Rabbi Semmel was happy to see us. But let's say you're really not happy to see somebody. I'd like to tell you about a Mishnah, Shammai. Now, ladies, you know we have the Gemara that a person went to Shammai who wasn't Jewish and said, "Convert me while I stand on one foot." You know that Gemara? So what did Shammai do? Chase them out with a stick. Chase them out. the following words of Shammai, the Shammai himself has a mission in Pirkei Avos, don't seem to fit with his behavior toward that fellow. What does Shammai say? Shammai said, "Have a mekabel es kol ha'adam b'sever ponim yofos." You should be mekabel everybody with a pleasant expression. You should receive everybody with a pleasant expression. So, at first glance, we would think that I don't understand that. Why did Shammai chase him out? Well, the answer is because Shammai thought he was making a mockery of the Torah. It's not him. He wasn't. It's not his honor. It's the Torah's honor. It's to teach me the Torah. I stand on one foot. Make a mockery out of the Torah. Out of here, my son. Out. Out. Because he's thinking make a mockery of the Torah. But when it comes to a person, a normal default position of how to treat people, you should treat everybody with a pleasant expression. Very, very much consistent with Shammai. Shammai was a tzaddik shein kamo. Shammai, a huge tzaddik, huge tzaddik. Now let's go over the Rabbi Bartanura's explanation of this dictum. Receive everybody with a pleasant expression. The explanation is as follows: when guests come to the house, lo titein lohem, don't give them hospitality when your face looks depressed. Shekol anosein ponov kevushos bikarka, because anybody who's giving somebody, when he looks down, he has a sour look on his face. Even if he gave him all of the gifts in the world, the Torah considers it as if he gave him nothing. You can give the person everything, but if we don't give it to him with a pleasant expression on our face, it's as if we gave him nothing. Everything. Same way by tzedakah. People give tzedakah. And there, let's talk about mishulachim, the same thing. A meshulach feels so uncomfortable. If a guest feels uncomfortable, a meshulach feels uncomfortable at times 100. I remember I had to raise money every now and then for one reason or another. I'd make a call. I hope the person doesn't answer the phone. Or I hope he's not home. It's embarrassing as it could be. You walk towards somebody, ask somebody for money. Now, you're at home and you have 4 meshulachim come that night. And they all come in one car. You know they all come in one car. The car's out there. You know, you look out the window, there's a car out there, and they come one by one. So now you say, you know, if a person's not careful, you can be so put off by this. I mean, what are you doing? You're inundating me. It's like a flood of mishulachim. And especially, they didn't know you were doing something. You can give them a lot of money. It doesn't make a difference. You can give them a lot of money. But if you do it with a dour, take it, like you gave him nothing. You know, the person can lose the entire mitzvah, tzedakah. You can lose the whole mitzvah. If he gives it with a take it, make the person feel good. You know what you should do? You should say one word. Behatzlacha. That's what you should say. You say behatzlacha. And we learn when a person gives tzedakah, he gets 6 brachas. He gets 6 brachas when you give tzedakah. And if you give it with endearing words to be strengthen him and be mechazik him, you get 17 brachas. You get that? You have another 11 brachas onto the 6. You get the 6 from giving him the money. I mean, lady, it's a no-brainer. If I say one word batzlacha, it shoots up my investment from 6 to 17. Who would not say batzlacha? Yes.
Unfortunately, it's happened more than one time. We try to do the best that we can, both of them. You're good, I love them, and you're doing what you can. What do you do when somebody says, I don't want it, that's what you're giving me? I don't want it. Look at that.
You know, I'll tell you what Rabbi Henkin did. That's all, Rabbi Henkin. Rabbi Henkin, Zechat Tzad Levracha, was the Miyaseh of Ezra's Torah. What a phenomenal Torah organization. He was a Gadol Yisrael. In his position as the organizer of Ezra's Torah, there were people who would come to him, and occasionally he would get this. That's all. Rav Henkin would say, with such sincerity and say, I want to give you more. I want to give you more. I'm sorry I can't give you. I want to give you more. I can't. That's what he would say. That's all. You can't give.
And there's no reaction, it's still not right.
You can say, I found that it's extremely effective to use the broken record technique. Broken record, the old records, you ever remember records, ladies? If there's a broken, it keeps going, say the same thing over again, it never switches, it keeps going and going. So the words, I found it extremely effective. 2 words, I'm sorry. And you say it with no rancor, no malice. I'm sorry. But this is all. I'm sorry. But. I'm sorry. That's all. And after, sooner or later, he's going to get the message. He's going to keep going. I'm sorry is a beautiful way of just.
Can I share something?
Yes, please.
Just on the words of I'm sorry, not to do with the tzedakah, but I used to teach in a Hebrew school years ago, and at one point we were having a discussion about this exact thing, about saying, I said, let's say, you have teachers, they're human. Sometimes they'll have a bad night. Their baby kept them up all night or something, and they come to school, and maybe you weren't doing anything when they let it out on you. Could happen, right?
Yeah.
They're 8th graders I was talking to. So I said, you could start yelling back at the teacher, I didn't do anything wrong, and it's just going to escalate. All you have to say to the teacher, I'm sorry, I'll try not to let it happen again. And the girls were yelling at me, saying, but we didn't do anything wrong, so why should we apologize? I said, you're not saying I'm sorry for doing it. You're saying, I'm sorry you feel this way that I did something, right? I'm sorry, I'll try not to let it happen again. Just say it nicely. As I was speaking, I couldn't have planned it better. A teacher from a different class, walks into my classroom, and starts yelling at my girl, I did not plan this, about something. She took a tape recorder and this and that, right? Starts screaming at the girls, and I look at my students, and I'm trying to message them, say this, and she's screaming for literally 3 minutes straight, just screaming at my girls, and I'm standing in front of the classroom, and one of the girls says to the teacher, we're sorry, we'll try not to let it happen again. She goes, thank you, and she walks out. And they were like, it worked!
That's an amazing story.
It was amazing. It was so amazing. All they need is validation, and it's fine. And you're not being chutzpahdik, and you're not doing anything. It's just saying I'm sorry sincerely. You're not saying I'm sorry, You're saying it sincerely. You're very, very sorry that they feel this way, and you'll try to let it happen again, whatever it is that they're, It was
What
great.
a story. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
It's a great advice. Hi, ladies, there's so much to talk about. We're out of time. But Hashem should help us. We're all, our hearts are in the right places. We want to have a positive influence. Hashem should help us. The bottom line, ladies, is davening. The bottom line is davening. We try with all of the suggestions, we're trying to incorporate devices and techniques and everything, how to do it. Basically, it's in the hands of the Rabbi. So Hashem should help us all to respond appropriately to our children and to bless ourselves and our children all the following. Thank you.
Amen.